Hi everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, thank you for joining us today. If you like what you see, definitely like this video, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification button so you can get notified when I post videos similar to this. So definitely share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you've been here before, thank you so much for, patronizing the channel and watching. God bless you. Today, we are going to jump right into it. I feel like I say that in every video, but we always jump right into it. But anyways, we're going to jump right into it today. And we are going to be talking about how I thought that God told me someone was my husband. And basically just really story time. And I'm going to talk about hearing from God. It's like a 2-for-1. 2-for-1. I like that. So let's jump right into it. Now, I don't want to overexpose myself, so let's call the guy Billy. Now, this is not the disclaimer, because we have to put disclaimer out there because assumption used to run around. This is not my husband. I'm talking about my husband. I'm talking about someone that I thought that God was telling me was my husband. And this was before I met my husband, of course. But anyways, so a couple years ago, I met this guy, and right from, I think I saw him online first. I saw him online because he used to preach and do all that stuff. But anyways, I saw him online, saw a couple of his videos, and I watched different videos like that, but for some reason, there was just something different about this guy. Like, I don't know, I couldn't put my finger around it. I just didn't know what it was. Now looking back, maybe I was just a little thirsty. I don't even know if thirsty is the right word, but I was thirsty. I thought I was spirit led, but we'll come to that in a second. So I was praying about it, and then maybe like, I don't know, there was a program that I then went to after that, and then I met him in real life. And then we had a couple like little conversations here and there, and I just felt like he also sensed that there was something, and nothing really came out of that whole event that we were at or whatever. And then there was another program again, and then I met him again, and then we talked for a little bit, exchanged numbers, all that fun stuff. And we would talk like every here and there, and things like that. But this whole time, there was something really different about this guy, and I felt like God was speaking to me, and I would have dreams about him, right? Not the kind of, please let your mind come back, not those kind. I would have dreams about him where in the dreams I would feel like God was showing me that this person was my husband. But at the time when I was having these positive dreams saying that he was my husband, I was also having negative dreams saying that he was not my husband. So then I will have a dream where he'll be walking away and I'll be trying to like tap his shoulder or to like draw him back to where I was. And now looking back at those dreams, I think it was very obvious what they were meaning, that I was trying to insert myself where I should not be inserted, and I would have, dreams where I'll be like, okay, I'm done, I'm trying to walk away, and then he's trying to draw me back in. So I think the things that I was saying that God was speaking to me about, he really wasn't necessarily speaking to me about that in a positive light, saying that that's your husband, but showing me the amount of confusion that was in that I'm looking for a very nice word to call it, but a relationship that was in my head, He was trying to show me that, it was a lot of confusion. And from one thing that we can say about God is that God is not the author of confusion. God is not going to confuse us. And I remember talking to one of my friends during that time, and I just told her, I was like, will God confuse me like this? Like, what is this now? I will have these positive dreams and I will have these negative ones. And I'm just like, so what exactly is it? So I was kind of confused. I would also have other things that I thought were signs, things like I would be driving and I would see his name like on the license plate, and I would be seeing his name everywhere. I will pop, look at this billboard, I'll see his name. I will be working on something at work and I will see his name pop up. I'm just like, dang. Like, there was even one time I prayed and I was like, Lord, like, if this is it, just let me know, please. And because I visited his church one time. So after visiting his church, somebody from their church, like one of their pastors, actually called me. Like, after I said that prayer, like the next day, this guy called me and he was praying. He wants to pray with me about marriage. I was like, hey, Jesus is Lord. You know, like, what are the odds that I prayed that prayer and then this pastor from the church? So I was just like, Lord, it looks like the more I'm trying to let go, like you are not making me to hold on to this guy, you know? And we would text, we would talk. He would never upright ever confront and say, oh, you know, I want to date you, I want to marry, I want to court you, or whatever. He would never ever say that. But I felt like he was giving me a little bit, and that little bit, I held on to it. I held on to it because even though I was having these conflicting dreams and I was praying about those conflicting dreams, in my mind, I wasn't, like, deep in my heart, I wasn't really praying to God to show me his will. I was praying to God so that he would give me or co-sign what it was that I wanted. So now God was showing me how much confusion was really in this relationship, or I shake to call it relationship because it was not that, you know, how much confusion was in this situationship, but I was thinking of it like God was confusing me. And that's why it's important for you to know how God speaks to you. Now, if you've watched my video, if you haven't watched it, definitely watch it, how I knew he was the one, and that's talking about my husband. And looking back on everything that happened right now, this is one thing that I can say. God is not going to give you an open-ended answer. And what do I mean when I say that? When I say God is not going to give you an open-ended answer, I mean the dreams that I was having, there were so many blank pieces in there. And excuse me, I was the one, you know, the dreams that I was having, there were so many blank pieces in there. And I was the one like going into fill in the gaps and add my own narrative to those things. I was reading in between the lines. I was assuming that because I was seeing his name popping up in different places, like that was meaning that, you know, God wanted me to be with Billy. You know, that's such a random name, but anyways, God wanted me to be with Billy, you know, and that was not the case. I think what was happening is that the spirit was warring against my soul, and in my soul, in my body, I really wanted Billy to be the person, or I thought that I did at least, you know, but God was trying to show me that he was not the person. And because God was not giving me the answer that I wanted, I concluded, or I told myself that God was not speaking, or that God was speaking, but the devil was trying to confuse me. Like, listen, if you know how much I thought this guy was my husband, like I even told my mom, you know I'm African, like you're not just gonna be telling your parents about somebody that you're not sure about. Like I called her one day and I told her, I said, listen, God has shown me my husband and there's nobody on this earth, like nobody on this earth could convince me except the whole Trinity came and sat down, like had a general board meeting with me and told me that this man was not my husband. Like that's how deep in it that I was. And I'm saying this to encourage somebody out there. Like, it is so hard. Rather, the hardest people for you to witness to, or for you to talk to, are people that are blind but believe that they have sight. I was very blind at that time, but there was nothing that you could tell me that I would believe. And this is me saying that I was praying, or praying that God will tell me what he really wants, since I'm getting conflicting dreams, so you know. But I had already concluded in my heart that this man was my husband. And now, of course, see, the devil knows. The devil knows some things, so, and he'll begin to put some pepper here and there, you know, just to ginger you. So you'll be thinking that, you know, you'll be holding on to people that you don't need to hold on to. So I held on to this man because I was like, I'm getting all these different signs. Again, it is so important that you know how God speaks to you. That's not how God speaks to me. I don't know how I conjured up this whole thing and not saying that it's God that was speaking to me at that time. And I think I was going with that excuse because that's what I thought that I wanted. That's what I thought that I needed. And I'm glad that God, you know, gave me a very serious wake-up call. Now, I remember the last vision dream, whatever, that I had about this guy. And in that dream, we were like laughing, joking around or whatever. And then the guy said something to me. He was like, this is in the dream. He was like, I can't wait to tell my kids about you because I thought that you were my wife. But God told me that you are not my wife. How many of my Nigerians are watching this? How many of you know what Ella is? That is child. Hey. When I woke up, it was one of the most vivid, like straight to the point, clear-cut dreams that I have ever received or ever seen. And I was like, wow. So what I did after I got that dream vision, whatever, was that I said that, okay, I've let this man go. I'm done with it. It's over. It's done with. I've put him. But what I did actually is that I put him at the back of my mind. I put the whole situation, I didn't deal with it. Because listen, you can be yoked with someone that you are not in a relationship with. It's not only just by having sex that you can get yoked to somebody. Because I believe that I really needed to break this, I don't even know, this bondage, this joining that I had joined myself to this man in my mind. Because listen, it hurt so much, but I didn't deal with the hurt at that time. I just put it at the back of my mind and I convinced myself that, you know what, I've let him go, I've dealt with it, it is what it is. Like, that's what Asha did. I mean, it's not that easy to get over that, you know? I remember the days that I would be in my bedroom on the floor crying, praying about this man. Hey, God must be in heaven just looking at some of us like, hey, good, like, hey, this guy. You know, praying about this man, like, Lord, if this is him. You know, I even read one book. They were like, you know, when you really love something, you give that thing up to God, and then, you know, you surrender it the way, you know, Abraham surrendered Isaac at the altar, you know. So me too, I was like, God, I surrender my Isaac at the altar, you know, so that in my mind saying that, so that he will give me back the man. So if I say, God, I've given you this man, then expecting that next day I will just wake up and the man will just say, yes, the Lord has spoken, you are my wife, let's get it going, you know. And so many tears, so many prayers went in for this man. Like, nobody could tell me that he was not my husband. Nobody. I'm telling you, like, except the whole Trinity sat down with me and had a meeting, like, you could not convince me otherwise. I was so sure. And I'm saying this because I know that there are people out there who are probably in the same situation, who find themselves in the same place. Listen, God will not confuse you. God will not give you an open-ended answer. And this is my advice. This is my experience with God. But you know God for yourself. That's why we must understand God for ourselves, apart from our desire to be in a relationship with somebody. Because most of the time when we really like somebody, you develop the feelings for the person, and then you now go and start trying to pray. It's really hard for you to really hear what God is saying, because we go into prayer with the expectation that God is going to co-sign our desires, versus going into prayer with the expectation that God is going to tell us what his will about the matter is. Now, if you watch my video about how I knew he was the one, you hear like some of the different examples that I gave in there, how I tried to guard my heart so that I wasn't, you know, going into prayer with an answer already in my heart. And this is how you get some prolonged prayers, because you'll be praying some prayers for years saying that God is not answering, but it's not that God is not answering, it's that you are hoping that God will change his mind and give you what it is that you think that you need. Now, after all this whole, you know, whatever, like I said, I put it at the back of my mind. And I remember one day I was looking at, and he would text, I wouldn't really like respond or whatever, because again, I appreciated the fact that he never jumped out, you know, fully to just say, oh, let's be in a relationship or whatever. But I know that at the back of his mind, he was giving me just a little bit for me to hold on, but not too much that I could hold him that, okay, we're in a relationship. Because I believe he wasn't sure. Now, this is just my belief. We never really had a conversation about it or whatever, just let that go. So I think a couple months after that, or maybe even a year, I don't know, a while after that though, I was looking on Snapchat and I saw two people dancing in the wedding reception. I was like, hey, God, is this not Billy? dancing in wedding reception. Obviously, his name is not Billy, but you feel me? I cannot just put everything out there like that. I was like, it's not Billy dancing in wedding reception. God, imagine. So I went in there. I was rewinding. I saw him dancing for joy in his wedding reception. And I literally called like one of my best friends and I started crying. Like, I was like, Billy is married. She was like, how do you know? How do you know? I said, I just saw him. He was dancing at the wedding reception with his wife. He's so, like, literally, it's hilarious. Excuse me, it's hilarious right now, but it was not funny that day. And then the girl gonna be like, oh, let's pray. I was really thinking, like, sis, like, I ain't even trying to pray right now. But she was like, let's pray. And then she was like, why don't you pray? And I will agree with you. When I tell you that my heart was broken, you know those kind of prayer that you just know that you're not seeing your face, but you know that you are looking warish in the prayer. God, I was snorting, I was crying, saying, God, my heart is broken. Ooh, man. Those feelings were so real. My heart was broken over this man that I was not in a relationship with, but I had conjured up the relationship in my head because I thought that that's what God was saying. And I mean, I made myself believe that that's what God was saying because I thought that that's what I wanted. I thought that that's what I needed at that time. So it is possible for your heart to be broken. And if you are in this situation, don't feel like you're weird. Listen, I've been in that similar situation before and it hurts a lot. But what hurts even more is for you to experience that kind of thing and not deal with it, because if you keep hopping around a mountain, you will still come back and meet that thing again. You have to deal with it. So me not dealing with it and putting it in the back of my mind, it didn't erase the fact that I needed to heal from that situation, because I had, intertwined myself. I had injected myself in this, relationship in my head. I had invested so much into it, so much of my heart into this thing that I thought that was going to be, and I needed to heal from it. Because we love God doesn't mean that we are exempt from healing. Healing is not, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes some time, but the first thing is for you to accept that I need to heal from this. Accept that, okay, this is not what I thought that it was. So after the whole situation, I cried, I prayed. It took me some time to get over it. I remember just being at work, I would just be crying on my desk. I was just like, I was so sad. And I told a couple people about it, so they would text me and check in on me or whatever. And it was just, it was something. Now I can laugh about it, but at that time, it really hurt. And the whole purpose of this video is just to encourage everyone that we must know how God speaks to us. And especially when it comes to matters of the heart, when you really like someone and you really feel like this thing could work out, it's really hard sometimes for you to hear God. And that's why it is so important that when you're first getting to know someone, like, I can't stress this enough, because relationships seem to be one of the major issues that we have as, young adults, as Christians, as people. You want to always make sure that you are guarding your heart, that you are going to God truly with an open heart and an open mind, really wanting to hear what God is saying, not praying that God should co-sign what you are saying. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, you find yourself in a situation like I did, whereby I went to God and said, oh God, this is this guy, after I've already started catching feelings for him and thinking that he was the one. And I am so thankful to God that he blocked that, because most of the time, half of the things that we think that we really want, it will kill you. I'm not saying anything is wrong with Billy. Nothing is wrong with him or whatever. But looking now at what God has given me, I am so glad that God did not allow me to settle. I am so glad that God did not, just be like, just have it. Because sometimes when you knock on the door too much, God will say, oh yeah, since that's, oh yeah, just take so you can go. I'm glad that God did not allow me to settle. I'm glad that God, put some sort of restraint on me, even though I let my emotions run wild. I'm glad God put some kind of restraint on me. If not, I would have found a way. Because listen, you can always find a way. I would have found a way to even weave myself into his life a lot more to make that relationship happen. And it was not what I needed. Like, what I never knew that I needed, God gave to me. And that only could happen after I had healed from that situationship that I found myself in. So my encouragement today, my word of advice today is that take some time, to understand how God speaks to you, because it is so important. The Bible tells us that my sheep hear my voice, and the voice of another they will not follow. If you don't know what God's voice sounds like, if you don't know how God speaks to you specifically, it is really hard for you to be able to tell what God's will is, because sometimes the things that you want will sound so much louder than God's voice. The things that you think that you need, when you are praying and God is speaking, those things begin to overshadow the voice of God. Why? Because the voice that you are following, or you've been following, or you've been accustomed to following, is your own voice and not the voice of God. So let us make this our daily practice, our daily prayer. Father, help me to recognize your voice. Help me to know when you're speaking to me. Help me to know how to discern you from myself. Because sometimes it's not the devil, it's just us. Because we're human beings, we have wants, we have desires. I made a video about 6 things that every Christian needs to know, so definitely check that out. And one thing that I mentioned in that video was this: it's that you're not always going to want the things that God wants. It doesn't mean that you don't love God, it's just that we're human beings and we have wants, we have desires, and we have feelings. So this is my encouragement for everyone out there today, that we ask God to help us so that we might hear his voice, so that we might be able to, avoid some of these situationships, some of these heartbreaks that don't need to happen. And God will help us, that we will be humble, because I was so proud in this, my theory, my hypothesis, that this man was my husband, and I was so wrong. And I was so blind, but I thought that I could see. May God give us real sight. May God give us real vision. May God help us that we will not get, intertwined in these confusing situations. And please, if you are not sure, don't make a mistake off of something that you are not sure about. If you are not sure what God has said and it's not a concrete response, then please let us not go into those situations. God will not confuse you. If you have more questions or you want to talk to me, please feel free to hit me up, my email, send me a message, a DM on Instagram, comment, whatever. Just reach out and we can talk, in more detail. God bless you so much for watching today. Till next time.